Okay, welcome back.
So
It is
basically,
December 16,
Beacon has paid out $780 million in commissions.
at least. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So, I'm excited about that. I'm grateful for that, but I'm more excited about the 700 million dollars they're going to pay out next. And
Yep.
who's getting who's getting their healthy chunk of that? I'll tell you, I posted something today on our chat, on the Canadian chat, and I do an account for Canada every month because it's sort of an easier thing for me to keep track of the Canadian team, and it's sort of a micro, what do you call it? It's it's a straw poll of the whole, but anyway, it's something I do to reflect back to the Canadians. And I'd mentioned, let me just see if I can read it because I wanted it to. I said, congratulations. Yet I put an incentive in place, and the incentive is focused on rank advancement. So I'm putting a December incentive, and this one is to acknowledge the top rank advancement volume for senior, the top for executive, and top for silver break, whoever breaks this month. New rank advancements. Why the emphasis on rank advancement? Because it was on this day 33 years ago I submitted my Nikin application, and I wasn't looking for a discount on great health products. I was looking for a way out of the rat race. You may be or may sponsor the next Mike DiMuccio if you focus on what others are really looking for going into 2025. So, yeah, um, if you focus on what people are really looking for, when it comes to this business, the real find is somebody who wants something more out of life. That's the real find. Somebody who's hungry, who wants more out of life. And I know that Nikan accommodates everyone, everything from the few $100s extra a week to somebody who wants, the pie in the sky. I'm after the pie in the sky person because I don't have to work with their brains so much. There's not so much personal development involved. And I say that because the more money someone has made at some point in time in their life, that tells you a little bit about where they're at mentally, emotionally around money. And it's actually interesting because the hungriest people, the ones who had money and lost it, those are the hungriest. But they have an understanding of what it looks like. And so, yeah, I'm hunger is something that we're on the find for, on the look for. People who are hungry because they will do what it takes and they won't make excuses. As our upline Dave used to say, we don't take prisoners. So, so anyway, yeah, this last weekend was a nice Seiko Kai. Thanks for the compliments. Those who sent me personal messages around the business part of it. Um, I asked Jeff if he would release that segment so that you have a small segment to just share. That's sort of a nice encapsulation of the Niken opportunity. So we'll see if we get that. Um, anyway, we are in week. Is it three now or is it two? I thought last week was week two, so this must be week three of the month.
Week three, yeah.
Okay. Um, so I would like to maybe hear from those of you who are usually silent. What can we do to help you become a mover and shaker in Nikken? Become or sponsor someone who becomes a mover and shaker in Nikken. What can we do to help you grasp, understand, connect with?
Well, I don't talk very much on this call, Michael, so maybe I should go.
Anyone? Come on, there's not a lot of us, and I don't know if that's this time of the season or if it's just because we're getting people a little bit closer to the fire on these calls. Go ahead, Marissa.
Hi guys. So my challenge, this is my challenge, and it's been a rough couple of weeks with my business. And it's finding the time or committing the time to put the NECAM business in each day. When I talk to people, I always tell them about my story. I tell them what I do, but to me, I feel like it's not enough. And in my current placement, my current job, I have nobody, like if there's fires that I have to put out, they're all calling Marissa. Everyone's in panic mode because clients got to close their mortgages, lenders, like it's taking most of my time that I don't want. So that's what I'm finding my challenge.
Have you got a calendar of your every day from the time you get up to the time you go to bed?
I used to, but I got
You
to
used
start
to.
doing that. I got to
You know.
start.
I think the key to what I found and understand with dealing with people or circumstance or situation is if you want to, you'll make the time.
Mhm.
So it's a concept of the want and the relationship of the want. Now, I'm going to go back to something Michael wrote today and sent out. He said 33 years ago, he signed an application to join this company, and now 30 years passed, and he's made a gazillion dollars. He's had the life of lives, has raised a wonderful family who's become very successful in their own rights. But the product that was created as a result of that decision 33 years ago is really the key to measure the relationship of how important is it to make a decision to go after what you want.
Okay.
And if you can isolate that in your mind
Mhm.
and really get a firm grasp of what it is that you want, convert that into what does that have to, what's the relationship between what you want and what Nikan does? Figure that one out. It's not that difficult. And then a half an hour, if it's a half an hour a day, then put that in your calendar. Every day at this time, I'm going to do, make a call or, and then it'll expand and it'll grow. And then you'll find a Mike or a wannabe Mike or a like Mike or a Dave or whomever. And all of a sudden that relationship will kick in. Oh, it works.
Okay.
And that's what has to be seen that it works for you.
Mhm.
So, it's a funny story. The first girl I wanted to move in with, and I looked at when I moved in based on how I was raised that I would have to pay the bills. And we added up both of our bills and it was like 1,200 bucks for the month. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But I didn't know how to deal with it because I didn't know what to compare it to. I had no experience with it. And so therefore, I just had to dive in. And then all of a sudden, oh, that's no big deal. And because it's what you want that becomes the driving force. So I hope that helped.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to add to this only because when asked before, how many times is this the reason why you haven't taken action or the necessary action? You keep bringing this up. I had a crazy couple weeks. I had a crazy. That's what I've been hearing from you since we've met about Niken. So nothing's changing because you've changed nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a part of you that draws an income from the chaos that you're allowing to happen in your business and the responsibility you're taking for that chaos. You draw
Mm-hmm.
psychic income from that. You like being the problem solver. So on
Mm-hmm.
one level, you're saying on the outside, I don't want this anymore, but your actions are telling a different story.
Yeah.
So either delegate the problem and stick to it, make the decision stick, make it
Mm-hmm.
once, make it firm, and then when you switch, when the decision is real, you'll
Mm-hmm.
know because the energy shifts. Your frequency will change. You will no longer tolerate the chaos. You will delegate, or you'll tell people to handle it on their own.
Okay.
What Dave's saying, carving out the time, again, that's part of it. That's a
Mm-hmm.
demonstration. It's like, how do you know I'm committed to growing a plant? Because
Mm-hmm.
I water it every day. I don't just talk about being committed to growing the plant.
Hmm.
It's demonstrated by my daily activity. So there's got to be a conversion of the idea into some type of a daily action so that it affirms, you are affirming to yourself and to the universe, this is my choice. When
Okay.
I take my nutritionals every day,
Yeah.
honest to God, I couldn't tell you what they do. I haven't got a clue, but I am affirming to my body every day that is a choice that I'm making to be healthy
Hmm.
by taking them. So, it comes down to a change in behavior of some kind that will result in it. And what Dave said as well, getting real about what you want, living for what you want rather than for what you got. You know, it's what is that? Um, you got to give up what you got to get what you want. You got to be willing to give up what you got to get what you want.
Okay.
And I know that seems scary, but it's a necessary component mentally, at
Yeah.
least on the mental level.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So
Okay.
we're coming into a year where you're making a new year. Make it stick. I'm not one for New Year's resolutions, but I am one for kicking off the year in a big way. So what I would be talking about right now, what I would be doing right now is I'd be doing what I call a whisper campaign. I'd be whispering to everybody that matters to me going forward where Niken's concerned, that I got something on the back burner that's going to be put on the front burner first thing in January. I'm going to talk to you about it. That way they know you're up to something. They know you're serious about it, and they know that you're going to carve time out specifically in January to talk to them about it.
Okay.
Create a buzz, create a whisper campaign. Don't that way by holding it in suspense, it creates a little bit of suspense.
Hmm. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Cheryl, you had your hand up. And then I think Madeline.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the whisper
By the way,
campaign.
that is a funky hairdo, I gotta tell you. That
Oh,
so takes me back to like
oh,
Soul Train, things like that. I mean, I used to watch those shows all the time. They were
that's
cool.
funny. Thank you, thank you. I'm gonna.
If I don't put gel in my hair, that's what my hair looks like.
That's funny. That's funny. Nothing wrong with a good fro. Okay, so thank you for putting words to what I am doing now. Just creating a whisper campaign of people that are going I am going to talk to at the top of the year. I have three people who have committed to giving me some of their time in the first 2 weeks of January. So I am getting myself ready for that. My challenge mostly comes from the lack of a schedule. I need to get a better. I need to do. I've been doing a sloppy job of my schedule, and I know I can do a better job that will yield me better results. So, it's good just to be able to recognize the things that are in your blind spot that you can't see, but when they do come around, then you can realize them and then do something to change them. Change your actions to change them. So,
Brilliant.
I'm still working.
You know, they say we can't manage time, but we can manage the events.
Yes.
So getting a grasp, getting a handle on managing events becomes critical. You know, I think about this a lot. I think about if you're the president of the United States, can you imagine how many decisions you have to make in an hour? I mean, not small ones either. So, or if you're like a billionaire, can you imagine how many decisions a billionaire makes in an hour? And they don't preoccupy themselves too much with is it right or is it wrong? They make decisions. That's why they're big because some of them are right and some of them are not right, but they can improve on them. But they make decisions and they get in the habit of doing that really quickly. So managing events is critical to being able to multiply time, being able to get more out of the time.
Michael, the average person makes 36,000 decisions a day. So there you
And
go.
35,998 of them are unconscious.
You're right. One of the
Madeline,
things I'd like to add to what for Sherill's benefit is by doing a calendar or obliging to do something. In other words, obligating yourself to be somewhere or do something. I never used a Google Calendar, but all of a sudden with the work that I'm doing right now, I have to have a Google Calendar so the people that I'm promoting to have a place to go to that I need to respond to, which keeps me focused on making sure I'm doing the activity. It's kind of like, if you're committed to go, if you've got a job, and the employer says, well, you got to be here at 8 o'clock and punch the clock, otherwise I'm not going to pay you. You go in and you punch the clock. So being self-employed, you have to create your own gimmicks to get you motivated or working. So I found that by setting up an activity that I have to respond to keeps me focused, and that helped.
Something else just popped into my head. This is a big one. So I want you all to write this down. This is a big one. Write down impending event. Impending event. If there's not an impending event in your calendar that you're working toward, your behavior is not going to modify. I'll give you an example of that. We have Christmas coming on the 25th, not too far from now. It's on the 25th and you don't get to move it. You live around that date as though it's immovable. And everything that has to happen according to your vision for what that Christmas day is going to look like, or Christmas Eve, whatever you celebrate, everything that has to happen to accommodate that vision that you have in your mind's eye right now. It's just in your mind. It's just in your imagination. What it's going to look like might look like last year, might look like different, but you've got something in your mind. All the events that lead up to that are going to become higher, higher, and higher priorities the closer you get to the impending event. Why? Because you can't move the event. You can't stretch it out. So if you don't have an impending event, you can't create the urgency that's needed in order to create the spark, the compression that's necessary to get something like this business off the ground. So what if let's make this up, because this is actually how it works. So if you were a network marketer, let's say you were somebody who had, was with a company and they were unfortunately going direct sales, or they were selling out or whatever, and now you're this network marketing leader who's been in network marketing 20, 30 years, and you decide to join NECAN. I'll tell you exactly what this person is going to do. They're going to set up a series of impending events. First thing they're going to do is they're going to decide when the launch date is for their launch. Regardless of the fact that NECAN's in business, doesn't matter. They set up a launch date, which means everything between now and that launch date is pre-launch, and they call it that. Because when they make their first calls, their first pitch to their generals, or who they have in mind as generals, they're going to tell them they're in pre-launch. Pre-launch, what does that mean? There's an impending thing coming, a launch. Then they're going to have a series of also impending events scheduled, important dates with destiny. That is important for the people in their pre-launch to decide if they want to participate, because then they are going to be participating in those impending events. Those impending events will become critical events to their launch campaign if they decide to join. In other words, they would have a 90-day launch strategy already in play. This is before the first call. They would have a launch window, their pre-launch, their launch date, that's their impending event, and then a series of events over the next 90 days that are critical events to get the plane off the ground, to get the generals and everybody off the ground in 90 days, because they know they got to create a story in 90 days. They know as a network marketing professional, they got to create a story in 90 days. Nobody will follow them if they can't, as a network marketing professional, generate a big story in 90 days. Nobody will listen to them. So that's what a network marketing professional would do if they join NECAN right now. So now take that and say, okay, well, if that's what a network marketing professional would do, these are the highest skilled people, the most knowledgeable people in our industry. They would take NECAN and they would launch NECAN in their own way, in their own unique timing. So then what do we have that we can leverage? I'm going to tell you right now, Luis is going to give an address this Friday. However, whatever shape and form it takes for you to get to listen to it, make sure you do, because he's going to give you a vision that you're going to be incorporating into your story. So this whisper campaign is going to entail something coming in 2025, and Luis is going to drop that on Friday. You're going to get some morsels of that, which should really ramp up your energy and help you understand that the whisper campaign's legit. Okay? So if I told you Bitcoin was going to do something on the 1st of January that was going to cause Bitcoin to go from 100,000 to 500,000 in value, how many of you would be supercharged about the possibility, and how would you be talking and acting? So that's what I'm talking about. It's an impending event. So Nikken 2025 is an impending event, starting with the presentation on Friday that involves you, not your prospects, you, to help you with your whisper campaign. Then come January, you could just decide today, January 12th or January 8th or January 3 is my launch date. You could just make that decision right here, right now. And then I would think, okay, so if January is your launch, what's your 90-day launch look like? So you've got to have a few strategic dates in place for January, February, March. Are there any strategic dates that we can tie into that you know are coming January, February, March? You make those first on your calendar. They go first in your calendar because they become important events for your business. Why? Because those impending events usually are a gathering of Nikken people, some type of gathering. Even if you have to get it yourself, even if you have to call Dave and Mike and Madeline and Leo, whoever you have to call and say, I need your help. Can you please be available for a 5-minute spot on this day on a Zoom? I want the powerhouses of Nikken to tell their story in 5 minutes on this date and time. Could you do that for me? That could be an amazing impending event. Now, don't waste everybody's time by just being there yourself. That's going to be the match that lights up the bundle of firewood that you've gathered between now and that impending event. But you see, without that impending event, how busy are you going to be about gathering up those logs? How busier are you going to get as we get closer and closer to that date? If the date can't move because we can't all reorganize our schedules in a flash, an impending event creates something that not having an impending event doesn't allow to happen. You can't bunch up the energy, you can't bundle the energy, and you can't explode the energy without the impending event. This business of slow and steady, that doesn't work. That creates an income. It doesn't create a team, and it doesn't create a dynamic team. Slow and steady, I've never seen anybody slow and steady build a huge team. There has to be an impending event. There has to be a reason to organize people together, to come together and create something of a strategic team, something that you guys work together to win the Stanley Cup or to win the Super Bowl or to win the Nikken Gold Cup or the Nikken Platinum Ship or whatever it is you guys come together to create. So is it worth thinking in those terms? It's certainly a lot better than, gee, I wonder what I'm going to do next month. I wonder what sales Nikken is going to have next month. What product I can promote. You see how boring that is? But if you had an impending event and that impending event revolved around some type of a business launch with consequences in the next 90 days, not just for you, but for the people who join you. As Dave was saying, the result of other people's efforts, the other people's successes. If your impending event, imagine right now, your impending event includes the launching of 3 other people. Think about that. Now, the next 90 days are not about you. It's about them. Where you can take them in 90 days. So your first impending event is about the gathering and the locking in of those first 3. And then the next 90 days is about taking those 3 up to platinum. Because now you know how to do it. Create an impending event for each one of them each month. Each impending event creates a new generation. Every generation creates a new rank advancement. Write that down. Each impending event creates a generation.
What's fascinating about that, Michael, and just to tie into that, it's the same concept as the penny doubled, but this time add 3 or 4 pennies and start doubling them from day one. And it's the same thing with promotional activities of your business. The more, like if there's like you and you're passing out brochures and you can get out 50 a month, just think what 10 people could get out. They could get out 500. So if we look at Wall Street, if we look at Madison Avenue, if we look at corporate America, if we look at big business, they're constantly pushing out. And the more they push out, the more that comes back in. So what really is effective here with what Michael's saying is the fact that you have a launch, you have a group launch, you have a pending event, you got activities, and you promote like crazy so that you can then go to the next level and have the group promote like crazy and then go to the next level, and that's how it's built.
It's kind of like this. Let me just pin this so this is bigger on the screen. Pin. So you got the pre-launch window, now and the launch date, what's between now and the launch date. Then the first month, and then there's a impending event M1, impending event M2 of the second month, impending event M3 of the third month. And you could stack the deck. You could have special guests. You could have special arrangements. You can get the CEO of Nikken even involved in any of these events, or you can tie into some of the events that are happening. The bottom line is when you have an impending event, if you turn this way, this tells you generationally what's going to happen. So launch date is when I line up my front line. Month 1 is when they line up their front line. Month 2 is when they line up their front line. Month 3 is when they line up their front line. So month 1, I line up my front line. That's a silver ship. Month 2, I line up their front line. That's a gold ship. Month 3, I line up their front line. That's a platinum ship. And the last month is really to shore up everything that may have been missed in the first 2 months. That's how you launch. And that's how you create incredible results, because you're doing it around a schedule of activity with impending events that you have pre-constructed. It's like a wedding date. It's like something that you've got that you're planning, and that's how it works. So your calendar is a very real thing. Having a calendar and having the big rocks in the calendar is critical, but it ties to an impending event, which ties to an objective. And so far, Dave and I have been working with you just on the month. Like, set a goal for the month and let's work the month over 4 weeks. That's a precursor to the idea of a big campaign where you set a real big goal. You have then this calendar of events scheduled. But we're coming into a new year. This is the optimum time to do it because everybody on planet Earth is thinking right now about this new year. Everybody's coming up to the same year end. So our impending events are on the same page this time of year. Everybody's got the same dates in their calendar. They got December 25 and they got January 1st or December 31st. Those are 2 events on everybody's calendar globally. 8 billion people have those 2 events in their calendar. So we want to leverage this time of the year to plan our launch, to plan our campaign. And Nikken is doing their part. I can tell you, Nikken's doing their part. That's why you're going to hear the message on Friday. That is the precursor. So it's all about getting our ducks lined up, getting our oars in the water, and everybody pulling together. So make a plan. Make a 90-day plan from now until your launch date, whenever you pick, is your pre-launch. In your pre-launch is your whisper campaign. where you create a buzz about something coming, something you're going to reveal. Now tell me, who would want to be a part of that if I invited you to something like that,
Do it. Sure.
right?
Yep.
Well, you're that somebody, and there's a bunch of people waiting to hear something like that. They want this next year to be different. They want somebody to help them find a better way.
You know, I'm doing something personally, and I'm finding out that every result I am responsible for me. So if there's nothing happening, guess who's responsible for nothing happening? Me. If there's something happening, guess who's responsible for something happening? Me. So that applies to everyone. So and again, you know, we don't want to beat a dead horse here, but what really is being put in front of you is the game plan. And all you have to do is push the button and go. And everything else will follow. But in the beginning was the decision, and the decision was to be. So in order for anything to happen after that, you have to first make that decision that you're going to be a Nikon distributor and you're going to blow the roof off the business that you're creating and make piles of money, whatever you want, help zillions of people become healthy and wealthy and wise and flourish and prosper. Because that's the only way you can beat whatever is attacking us out there. And when I mean attacking us, I'm talking about the suppression and the negativity and the angst about, nukes being pushed and all of this kind of garbage. The only way you can beat that is to flourish and prosper. So flourish and prosper. So I said,
totally agree.
Yeah, third week. Who wants to tell us about their plans for week 3 of how it's coming along and how they're going to reach their goal this month?
Well, I'll comment.
Okay.
I noticing Cheryl on here. She was my accountability partner in Dave's course when we took it together. And so my thought tonight in listening to what it is that we need to get done here is giving Cheryl a call and actually using her as an accountability partner, just like we did previously when we were taking his course. But I'm looking at this Monday night as my accountability night as well, knowing that it was coming up. What am I going to do to report? So picking up from last week, I've been working with the 3 executives in the past 6 weeks that have just become executives and going over exactly what you're talking about tonight. What is it that they really want? When do they want to do it? Are they willing to start now? And so that's where I've spent that amount of time. And then today, just going to the bank and then to Toyota to get my car washed, I spoke to people there, and they're both interested. The one already got moved from one bank. Fifth Third closed a bank and one of the satellites, and so she's at a new bank now. And the other young man has a double sports degree and a finance degree, and he just left 5 years of working at whatever the other Japanese car company is to move over to Toyota. And we had I had a nice conversation with both. So what I came to in leaving, that was stopping in and having the conversation. What if I upped that a little and get out every day and do a little bit more stopping in and having those kinds of conversations because the people are out there. It was really pretty easy to do and create interest. You just ask the question. And so I was hoping that the one young man, he got off at 7, might be able to be on tonight, but he didn't answer. But knowing that increasing that amount of productivity and not just depend upon the other 3. I do feel that that work is good pre-launch work. And I think you responded to me that way, Mike. I feel very good about the one particular who has furniture business and a husband that's retiring in sales and, a daughter that's in biomimicry as a major. And so it's again, for them, the timing is the Christmas holiday and taking care of an elderly father. But I feel very good about what I've learned in all of these years and applying and moving somewhat more strategically, not slower, but strategically, sharing the videos. So do you know whether Jeff did separate your video out from Saturday? He did
I
not,
haven't seen it yet, so I don't
because
know.
I did send the hour out. I do think Jeannie's on the call tonight. I think she was excellent as well, and she was able to demonstrate as you can be out doing another job and do this as well, and a real why to get out of doing that kind of work and to be able to do this more. So I thought hers was really very good. Um, I think being short like that, it was good to have product, a variety of people, and then end it with what you did. Now, I saw where you sent the Dropbox today, and I didn't have time to open it up yet, but is it going to be shorter, similar to what you did on Saturday, or was Saturday's
No, that presentation in the Dropbox is for the Balanced Life, Happy Life.
on Tuesday night?
Right.
Okay, so that is a little different, though. You were going to modify that?
It's because I'm not just doing the business, it has all the components in
All
it.
the other components in there. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Saturday was excellent. Excellent. And so
It
if
was.
he doesn't separate it out, then maybe you can separate it out.
I don't
And
have the file, but you could ask him. You could
I
maybe just
will.
send him
I
a
will.
text
No,
message.
I separated out Jeannie's and created a funnel page for skincare and pink collagen. I can separate out Mike's and create a video for it, put it up on WhatsApp, no problem.
well,
Cool.
please do it because I think that's important. Yeah.
Peace, Kate.
So, let's see. Anyone else? Wes, you're unmuted.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. That was a great, I've got some people that are suffering from analysis paralysis, and but I think putting a date on it, that I'm going to act on a certain date, they're part of it or they're not, is exactly what I need to do, and that's what I'm going to do, and we will see what happens.
Yeah, and when especially when you've got somebody new and they've got a full load of contacts that they can contact, think about it that way. Think of if they had a drop dead date that they had to have a decision because they're in pre-launch and they launch on certain date, then what they want to do is they want to have 20 or 30 people on their front line by that drop dead date. So in the pre-launch window, what they're trying to do is get as many people lined up to the launch line as possible. When that launch date comes, they're either going to start moving or they're not, which means they're going to be ordering their products, they're going to be making their list, they're going to be participating in the calendar of events that you've got scheduled with them, or at least a planning meeting that you're going to have where you create that calendar of events. That's how you launch a team. So if I had 20 or 30 people that I had really interested, they're giving me all the right words, but then the launch date happens and seven of them to take the right step, the right action. I know who the seven are. But if I only have one person on the lineup and I don't know if they're hot, cold, or medium, red, yellow or green, then that's not a launch. So the pre-launch is me getting busy, and that was my pre-launch in December of 1991. I was now currently at this moment in time in pre-launch, which meant, and the date with Destiny was January 2nd. Naked was officially opening the Canadian doors. We couldn't place an order for products, which created an impending event, meaning nobody could get their products until January 2nd, but come January 2nd, it was an open market. Anybody could have the market, anybody can take over the market, anybody can do whatever, because it was now accessible to everybody. So I had 2 weeks to line up as many ducks as possible so that I could have a big jump in the activity in the Canadian market. And my goal was to be number one in Canada. My first goal for income was $25,000 because apparently my sponsor had made that in his first full month of NECAN. Not his first month, his first full month, which means December I signed up, but I couldn't buy any products until January. So my first full month was January. So I was looking to make $25,000. Now, I had no business thinking in those terms because I'd never done anything like that before. My biggest check was like $3,000 for a month. So to think $25,000, who am I? Well, the answer was I was the person sponsored by the guy who made $25,000. So why not? And I knew that if I had enough people, that the rest would take care of itself. We had a plan of action. We had a calendar of events for January. So it was just a matter of put enough people in the pipeline and you get a result. Well, I wasn't going to wait for anybody to make my check. I sponsored 26 people in January, and I wasn't done in January. I sponsored 9 more in February. 35 people on my front line inside of 2 months. What do you think is going to happen? Well, I'll tell you what happened. Some are going to do something. Some are going to watch others do something. Some aren't going to do anything at all. And some are going to really get busy. And that's what happened. And who was it that was going to get busy and do whatever? I had no idea until they were actually doing it. Everybody said all the right things. Everybody wants to be rich and famous. But when it comes to actually doing what it takes, there's only one way to know: when they start doing what it takes. And fortunately, I had enough people personally sponsored that there was enough people doing what it takes that I went silver in 8 days. That was at that time what silver was at that time. That was 40,000 points back then. So I know how to launch. I know that the launch is how the pros do it. And I know everybody ought to launch, especially when you enroll somebody new. Make it your job to launch them. Give them the best launch you know how to give them. And if you're not quite sure, please ask us. Dave and I are more than happy to help. Leo.
Hi, everybody. Last week, I took the training with the PGI, Procter Gallagher Institute. Thursday and Friday, don't forget, it's in English only. I'm Frenchman. And I see the replay for Saturday and Sunday, and I take 10 pages of note. Okay, I'm so excited. I started to translate, and just today I made a 7 days follow-up. Just today, you see? And I think he recommend to pre-launch begin now. I began yesterday my pre-launch for the 2025. And I just checked, Mike, is still available a replay I can put on the group?
Sure, absolutely.
Don't miss that, guys. I don't understand English like you, but the group is, I'm so excited because I began my pre-launch yesterday. I made a lot of calls with my leader for going to May on 2025. I want to be there to New Diamond. And then
Impending event, May 2025.
Yeah.
See, he's already got that. That's the big rock. He's already got that in the plan.
It's on my plan to be the New Diamond from Montreal, Quebec, Leo Lemay. But
Result with Date with Destiny.
And I want 5 leader goal and more minimum. That's my goal. And I'm so excited. I take a lot of notes. And
January, February, March.
Yes.
April. So 4 months to create 5 golds.
My goal to be, I rated to 31 March. I keep 1 month to.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I want to just talk about this for a second. 5 golds in 3 months. If it takes 3 months to create 1 gold, and you have 5 people seriously running after it, then you're creating 5 golds in those 3 months, because it takes 3 months of a run to generate that gold ship. Whether you're doing it 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 or 5. Excuse me 1 sec.
Okay, I made a call today with my, Robert. Rabbi, Mike is know him, Rabbi. I said, you want to come to meet me at May or look me? I'm in. If you want to come, fine. If you want to just look me, but I'm decide to be a new diamond in Quebec and I need five gold before 31 March. Are you in or you look me? He said, okay, I'm in. And I show how to make a lot of contact. That's it. But I got to put the recorded and the group right away. I'm still available. I don't know that.
Okay, so let me just encapsulate this because what's really important, what Leo's sharing is the idea actually being rolled out in his mind. So he has a date with destiny. He has an achievement that he wants to create. He recognizes that achievement has to happen through the success of others. So he's got already the plan is for the launch of others. And right now in his pre-launch is to find the others that he's going to launch into that plan. This is this is the way it's done. He knows it's going to take several strategic months, starting in January, February, March, April is a spare month to wrap up loose ends, and that's a good strategy so that he's achieving the objective for the May and everybody hits their mark on time. That's how the generals work. That's how a captain thinks. You've got to think, if you were the CEO and president of a large corporation that had regions and you had to deal with regional presidents, you would be doing the same thing. You'd be meeting with your presidents. You'd be setting objectives where they were concerned. They had to meet their marks so that you could meet your mark. But you would be the one who establishes the mark, and then everybody works to support that. So it's logical. This is how it's done in the real world, and this is how it's done in this world by those who take on the responsibility of being the captains. And the people who get paid the most are the people who generate the most. And they're the ones who take on the responsibility of creating the most. So it's a fair game. Well done, Leo. Thank you. Jeannie.
Well, my heart is beating really fast. Like, holy smokes. Maybe I'm finally getting it. Anyway, what I learned this weekend in doing that presentation from where I work at the market, the first thing I learned, and I think I have been learning it, but haven't done anything about it, is how many people I know at that market that know nothing about NECAN or that I'm even a part of this fabulous company. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like a gold mine here.
And they think you're
So,
all 18 years old too.
yeah, I know. And I'm looking like I'm 18. And one of them said that. I haven't seen her. She doesn't work there anymore, but she was for many, many years. But I thought about her because when I looked at her, I could tell she wasn't 18. Bless her heart. So, anyway, um, this is really exciting. So, I'm making a list of all the vendors that I know there and some that I newly know and just do the pre-launch. It's really, really exciting. I think I'm getting that picture, and thank you for this layout of that because okay, so I have a big birthday, March the 24th, and it's more than 18. So, but uh since I've been with NECAN all these years, I thought, okay, wouldn't it be cool to be diamond by the time I turn 70? So I'm like, okay, well, it's coming, and I don't know about diamond. However, I am a gold that is not qualified. So I'm thinking qualified gold and platinum this year, this coming year. And from what I'm hearing, if you get the players in place, it could be platinum for my birthday. So, uh, and I feel like I have the time. I'm working Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the market. Those are my busy days there. And then I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I try to take Mondays kind of off or whatever. And so I feel like I have time. Of course, I think we all have time if we put it like you've been talking about, you place it in your calendar and then you have the time to do it. And
You manage the events. So
Manage the events.
you
Thank you.
create events.
Yes. Yes. Create the event. And because I totally get that, because I go, okay, I'm going to work Friday at the market. I mean, I can't change that date. And I do all the things I need to do for that. So it's the same. It's the same. And I love that. Like impending event. That makes so much sense for me. Can't change the date of Christmas. So um, and that creates the urgency. So now what do I do?
So if you've got 3 people running for gold in the first 3 months, the
Okay.
first 2.5 months, starting now with the pre-launch, 3 people running for gold, that's 15,000 each. That's 45,000 in volume.
Okay.
You only need 30 to be platinum.
To be
But if you've
platinum.
got 3 people running, remember, we don't aim for the goal. We aim
Right.
beyond the goal.
Right.
So 3 people running for gold automatically crosses the platinum ship where you're concerned. So now your focus is entirely on finding 3 people who want to go
Yeah.
for the gold. So what's the benefit to them if they do that? That's what you sell.
Okay.
To add to that, Jeannie, when I watched your video, to your left seemed to be a bunch of booths. How far away were you from your booth?
I was right on my booth.
Well, you were on your booth.
I was looking into my booth.
Okay, and who was beside you?
Uh, Behind me was like a walkthrough, and then there's a clothing booth, and then on the side they have in the middle of the aisle a table, and then across from me is my friend Mary, who has like 5 spaces of cell phone accessories. She and her 2 sons.
Okay, there's your answer. See, the way you described what you knew about your place and where everything was located is the same view that I have and Michael has about a silver, a gold, a platinum, a diamond, and a royal diamond distributorship. So when we can envision everything that goes together at every level because of we viewed it, we experienced it, we planned it. So my advice, and it's not any different than Michael's to get to where he wanted to do is, but if you draw out what you need in a picture,
Mhm.
and that picture's on your wall, and you see, well, I have to put a person there and they have to go gold. What do they need? And that person needs to do that to go to wherever. Then you play the stick the pin in the donkey game constantly, and then all of a sudden it gets built. But it's built by what we talked about all day long, is you put it in the calendar, you have an impending event, and then you drive to that event by putting people into action. And then the last thing, and as I said to Paul Gabios last week or the week before, is you direct the traffic.
Yes.
Don't expect them to do what they're supposed to do because they
Yeah.
don't know what to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
You gotta leave, it's like you do the action, you set here's the map, guys. What do you want? You want to make $10,000? Here's the map. And this is what we have to do. And we have to make this many calls. We have to do this many brochures. We have to do this many, this is this, is this, is this. Here's the meetings, blah, blah, blah. And away you go. And go. And you'd be amazed at how well people respond to direction.
Yeah.
They don't respond to chaos.
Right.
But direction they respond to in a very positive way. So that
Yeah.
would be what I would do.
Let me just point this one out.
Yes, and I have one right here.
So if that's you, and this could be the person you're launching,
Mhm.
when they complete the first row, the first level,
Mhm.
so if you just put numbers in here, let's say those are 3 seniors, right? But they've
Mhm.
sponsored 9 people, plus they got some retail sales. They're going executive no matter what out of that run. When
Mhm.
they take it to the next level, they're going silver.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you want to envision not just the first level, you want to envision the second
Yeah.
generation happening. Because that's just a minor investment in Nikken products. If they did a senior investment or maybe 2,000 points if that was what you guys were marketing. Get this pack and this pack. Let's
Mhm.
say that's the campaign because
Yeah,
that's what person one did. Then
right.
that changes the rank advancement from silver to gold for this person. So
Yeah.
whether they go silver or whether they go gold, doing this is a question of what are you duplicating in terms of that initial purchase of products, one pack or two?
Or two. Okay.
And I'd like to add to Michael's pending events deal. I had a gal by the name of Jerry, and we set up 3 weeks of wellness previews in her home. And on week one, we got her to, I said, here's the deal. I'll come do the meeting. You get as many people to the meeting as possible. So week one, she had 6 people there and she got her first person that eventually became gold. The second week, we had those people plus the next generation come to the meeting. She found her second person who went gold. And then on the third week, we found the third person who went gold and she went platinum. And that was the same, exactly what Michael is saying, the launch, the pre-launch, the strategy, the pending events. And she kept pushing, 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 pushing. But the real key to that was I told her what to do. I didn't say go make, I said, you got to make the calls. I'm going to do the event. So there was an agreement between the two of us, which is really important because one of the pitfalls of our business is a thing called loneliness. And when you're in your home by yourself, there's a lot of Murphys that sit on your shoulder and kick your butt, saying, this is stupid. This doesn't work. I'm not going to make any money. I'm no good. Nobody likes me. You know, bah humbug, bah humbug, bah humbug. So what you really need is a terminal that's positive that you talk to. So I talk to Jerry 3 or 4 times every day till we had the meeting, then had the meeting and then followed it up. And then as soon as I saw a hot person, guess who I went to meet with? The hot person. And then we drove it down like Michael showed you in that picture because it's not just the first generation, it's you want to drive it as deep as possible. So again, there's many ways to boil the fish or cook the noodles to eat your spaghetti.
In this business, you do not want to be the Lone Ranger.
And I'm afraid that has been me too many times. So I really appreciate what y'all are doing
Yeah.
here.
All right. Well, hour's up. Thanks everybody for chiming in. If there's anybody who wants to go again next week, please do so. We're good. Are you good for next week, Dave, the 23rd?
Yeah. I'll be
Okay,
I'll be
so-
home next week also.
Okay, so we'll see you then next week, the 23rd, and then we'll probably take the next week off. So, yeah, come back with some more feedback. Tell us what you got out of this call in terms of the plans you're making. Put some work in writing based on this. This one's too
Yeah, put it in
important.
the core consultant to let people know that because here's another thing that's really important. If we had 100 people on this call, we'd start blowing the doors off of Nikan overnight. And it's your responsibility as well as ours to get as many people on this call as possible because that's what others need to see. Marissa needs to see that there's hundreds of people on this call, so she gets motivated out of her mind, that she forgets about the drag of doing her, crappy business and builds an empire like Mike. That's what we need to do.
That's what
So
we
you're
need to
gonna
do.
post this one tonight, Mike? You'll post
I
it?
will. Absolutely.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.